Welcome to this case study on the 2018 CPU Meltdown exploit. We'll dive into what the vulnerability was, how it impacted modern processors, and what this means for hardware security. Please note that not all details of this incident have been publicly disclosed. The information is based on what's publicly available and serves as an educational tool. This case study is adapted from the events surrounding the 2018 Meltdown vulnerability using public resources. For further details, please refer to the resources listed at the end. The target audience for this presentation includes undergraduate and graduate students focusing on hardware security, zero-day vulnerabilities, and side-channel attacks. The last update was in May 2024. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to describe the CPU Meltdown vulnerability, explain zero-day vulnerabilities, and understand side-channel attacks. So without further ado, this meltdown was discovered in June of 2017 by 3 independent research teams. It exploited a flaw in modern CPU architecture, allowing any program to read sensitive memory data, including kernel memory, which should be protected. While there is a related exploit called Spectre, this presentation focuses on the meltdown. So what happened with Meltdown? Meltdown exploited a design flaw in modern CPUs, particularly in out-of-order execution, allowing the attackers to access sensitive data from the memory. So what is a side-channel attack? Well, a side-channel attack derives from information from indirect sources like timing, sound, or electromagnetic emissions, rather than exploiting software vulnerabilities directly. Traditional exploits target software vulnerabilities, while side-channel attacks use unintended information leaks, such as timing variations or power consumption, in order to gain insights. Modern processors use out-of-order execution and internal caching to improve performance. These features typically enhance speed, but can introduce certain security risks, as seen with Meltdown. Out-of-order execution allows CPUs to execute tasks in any order, using idle execution units to speed up processes. While efficient, it can lead to security issues when combined with speculative execution. Speculative execution enables the CPU to guess the outcomes of future tasks and then execute them in advance. If the speculation is correct, it speeds up the process. If incorrect, the results are discarded. However, during speculative execution, memory protection may not be totally honored. In Meltdown, speculative execution allowed the CPU to read sensitive data stored in cache, even if the execution was later deemed invalid. This technique made it possible for attackers to infer information based on memory access times. Meltdown bypasses memory protection by exploiting out-of-order execution. It tricks the CPU into executing illegal memory accesses speculatively, allowing attackers to read data stored in the cache. The vulnerability exploited speculative execution to bypass memory protection, making it possible to read data from the kernel memory. So an analogy using McDonald's. Imagine Taylor Swift orders a hamburger at McDonald's, even though a paparazzi guy right behind her isn't allowed to know her order. The kitchen starts preparing the same order speculatively. If the paparazzi times it right, he can deduce what she ordered by observing which item is being prepared first. A more technical example. Suppose a protected memory address holds a value between 1 and 5. By timing memory access patterns, an attacker could determine the value stored at that address. This technique forms the basis of Meltdown's side-channel attack. So now let's talk about the impact. Meltdown affected nearly all Intel processors since 1995 and some ARM processors. It compromised desktops, laptops, phones, and even cloud servers. It made it one of the most widespread hardware vulnerabilities ever. The exploit enabled the reading of arbitrary memory addresses, allowing attackers to access sensitive information from otherwise isolated environments, such as cloud-hosted systems. So what's the solution? Mitigations can include software patches to restrict speculative execution, but these can come with performance penalties. The only permanent fix would be to redesign CPU architecture, which is costly and also time-consuming. Meltdown highlighted the importance of CPU design. especially secure CPU design. The vulnerability exploited a flaw in the cache management and speculative execution, emphasizing the need for better hardware security measures. Future processors should seek to implement stronger memory isolation and regularly update existing systems with hardware level mitigations. This is only the beginning. The discovery of Meltdown opened the door to more research in hardware-based side channel attacks. It sparked significant interest in cybersecurity research aimed at protecting against similar types of threats. So now with the discussion questions, these are an opportunity for you to pause the video and discuss with a coworker, a classmate, colleague about what you think about these different discussion questions. So, how did Meltdown exploit modern CPU features? What are side channel attacks and how do they relate to Meltdown? How can such vulnerabilities be mitigated and what lessons have been learned? What are the limitations of current solutions and how can speculative execution be safely used in the future? How can the Meltdown vulnerability be mitigated and what are the limitations of these mitigation strategies? What lessons can be learned from the discovery and handling of the Meltdown vulnerability in terms of hardware security and future research directions? For more information, check out the references listed here. They provide a deeper dive into the technical details and the broader impact of the Meltdown. Thank you. Bye-bye.